No dobrze, Panie i Panowie, czas zapowiedzieć naszego gościa i chyba, żeby to też jakby dla niego było sympatycznie, to ja zrobię to po angielsku, w razie czego słuchawki do tłumaczenia są, gdyby były potrzebne. Well, so the lecture will be given by Professor Shailendra Vyakarnam. Actually, in Cambridge, he's usually referred as Shail. Which is not only a nice abbreviation, but also shows that actually he's quite accessible person. In that sense that he works with students, he works with academics, and really he's one of these Cambridge types that you can approach him and he shows this attitude, how can I help you? So Professor Vyakarnam, apart from being a PhD, so academic in true sense, also has got MBA degree, which shows that actually both of these things, first of all, can be obtained by one person. So it's not the case that if you have a mindset for PhD, then you are not for MBA and vice versa. And secondly, it allowed him actually to build a unique attitude towards entrepreneurship, especially in the quite, I would say, difficult environment as Cambridge, because Cambridge it's a really nice place, but also it's full of various eccentric and strange people, and you have to remember it's a medieval university, lots of rules, traditions, and so on. So if you are trying to go there and say, well guys, it's sexy to have Ferrari, and that's something that actually you should do. If you are an academic and you commercialize your research, then you may hear, well, but you know, it's much better to go to the library to have a Ferrari. So anyway, Shail successfully managed to spread the spirit of enterprise in Cambridge, and he runs many programs. One of these programs is actually very famous. It's so-called Enterprise Tuesday. Takes place on Tuesdays, usually during the term time. And the formula of the program is that you bring a guest, usually somebody that's managed to commercialize technology or was successful otherwise. For instance, well, one of the quite recent Enterprise Tuesdays that I went to, there was a lady, nice lady, quite young lady that was a first football club manager in UK, and really she managed to rise this football club from very, very scratch to the very top level. So anyway, you bring that sort of people and you inspire by their talk. You inspire students and academics by showing the examples. But also what is very important, and I think Shail is going to tell you today, when the lecture ends, that's not the end of the story. You go and do the networking. So you go next door, and actually you've got a really nice cocktail. Usually, apart from the food, you've got wine and beer. And as far as I remember, beer is usually provided by Cobra Beer, which is actually sort of the contribution to Cambridge from the founder of the company that used to go to Cambridge. So I guess that every 6 months a truck full of beer bottles is being sent to Judge Business School, right? So anyway, but I think that Shail will elaborate more on these details. Anyway, what I'm going to tell you more is that Shail is this person that actually scientifically examined the Cambridge phenomenon and found why it is so unique. Why it is so unique in that sense that it's not enough to build walls. So the entrepreneurship is not built by masonry, but actually what is this added value? And this added value are these social networks and the proper ecosystem. And when you are in Cambridge and you want to write something in Cambridge style, usually you have to propose some model. So Shail proposed Pythoning, and that's what Shail is going to tell you about. Anyway, without further delay, Shailendra Vyakarnam.
Thank you very much, Camille, for the introduction. And Camille is one of the networkers on Enterprise Tuesdays. And one of the things that happens to me when we started Enterprise Tuesday, it was called the Basics of Building a Business. And there would be 30 to 40 PhDs, postdocs, and so on coming. Now there are nearly about 300 of them coming from the university and across the university. And then, as we say, the little bribe of beer and baguettes, afterwards they hang around They talk to each other, they look hungry, some of them even have a shower. You know, they are engineers after all. And then it's a place like that, Camille comes to you and says, I want to invite you to Poland. I say, yeah, sometime, no problem. You know, and then actually it's happened. So here I am, and I'm delighted to be here. The business of university-industry links, I think, is the main topic of interest. And I define myself very often as a pracademic, practicing or practitioner at one level, academic on the other hand. So I'm very curious about what happens and why people do what they do and so forth. But at the same time, I quite enjoy the coal face of doing business. Now, I notice that not many of you are wearing the earpiece. So either you're waiting for the stock market or the cocktails, or it's okay to continue in English. So I'm assuming it's okay to continue in English because I can't do it in any other language. So the title of the topic, why real estate or real enterprise? When the original work was done, finding out the so-called Cambridge phenomenon, and when people come to Cambridge or when people go to Silicon Valley and so on, the usual thing is that people come off the train or something, they get picked up in a nice limousine, and they get taken around to the science parks and to the nice shiny buildings, maybe a lunch in one of the colleges with a couple of professors, and they all go away thinking it's all to do with buildings, either medieval buildings or shiny buildings like this one. No, I don't believe that at all. Because whenever you talk to the practitioners, the managers within those incubation centers, and the conversation goes around, it's always the conversation is about people. It's not quite as bad as Big Brother, the conversation, but it's about people and who are the scientists, who's doing what, and what technology is coming out of which laboratory, and who's the manager, and who's been fired, who's been hired, etc., etc. So this is all common sense, which of course is too much strain for academics to understand. We need frameworks and models and diagrams and theories and so on. And it's the newspaper editors who will tell you it's about the people. And they will hunt down the people. So how can we understand the role that individuals play in the entrepreneurial ecosystem that gets created? So Cambridge is going to celebrate 800 years in about 2 years' time. It's an old institution. The oldest spin-out from Cambridge is called Cambridge University Press. You know, soon after the printing press was invented, out it came. But more recently, there have been other things in Cambridge, and since about 1960 is when really the accelerator pedal was pressed and things started to happen. And that's part of the story I'd like to talk to you. But really from your point of view, from Poland's point of view, you know, what is this topic about real estate or real enterprise? So why this topic? First of all, I guess my life in Cambridge for the last few years, I've been living there a long time. My wife went to do a PhD and I was doing my MBA and so on, and then more recently I've come to Cambridge. She continues to work on HIV. So I have a scientist at home, and very often we discuss about publications or patenting and proteins and stuff like that. It's quite interesting, and then I tell her about my work and she starts to yawn and starts to wonder what I do. But nonetheless, the question about incubation came up, is that what is actually this process that's taking place? It is really the ecosystem, and it's not about the infrastructure, the roads, the electricity, the buildings, the laboratories and so on. It's something else that's going on here. The second thing is that in reflecting on this, I have been in the area of entrepreneurship now for about 21 years. And in the early days, it was very evident that we were driven in our work, in our thinking, by the so-called SME policy, small and medium enterprise policy. Government policies hugely functioned on that, and that has driven a certain type of infrastructure development mentality and certain issues around education and a certain mindset actually. So we're now, I think we moved past that stage, maybe because of the last 10-15 years since Mrs. Thatcher's rule in 1979. Quite a significant watershed, I think, in policy, her arrival. And we now begin to recognize that we have to do something different in our place of entrepreneurship. So I called it the Cambridge Odyssey as opposed to the Space Odyssey, 2001. And when I arrived there, I arrived with this sort of SME, business planning, strategy, and so on. And essentially,